Excited to introduce you to the May 28th Power Hour with Ken Copel. I'm so happy to have Ken Copel as one of our guests. He's an extraordinary resource for marketing, for business expertise, for all around business growth and positioning your company. So I've had the benefit and been able to refer Ken to clients for many years. Let me introduce you now, and in fact, let me introduce myself also. I'm Patty DeDominic. I'm your business coach to superstars, to companies on the verge of exponential growth, and I'm so happy to be here with you. Ken Copel is our special guest today. He is the former creative director of a New York ad agency. You would recognize the name. Today, he's the founder and principal of Copel Communications, which provides writing, marketing, and creative services to consultancies and B2B business leaders just like you. He's been doing this solo now for over 30 years, and so he must be doing something right. And Ken and I have collaborated on projects, as I mentioned before. So today we've asked Ken to talk about how to outsmart AI in the marketing content game. I think that's really important nowadays. As a teaser, know that the strategies that Ken will share today have helped his clients generate millions of dollars in incremental revenue. And as a bonus, we're actually going to be raffling off 1 hour one-on-one marketing consultation sessions with Ken at the end of today's session. So after you hear him speak, I highly invite you to sign up and do that. So if we have more than 5, well, we're going to have to do something else, but we will be raffling off. So let me introduce my friend and your new best friend, Ken Copel.
Thank you, Patty. Thank you for that introduction. All right. And Riza, thank you for knocking out the slides. I really appreciate it. That was the only technical concern that I had going in here. Hi, everybody. How's everybody doing today? Can you hear me okay? Can you see me okay? Thumbs up. Yeah. Cool. Awesome. So thank you for your time. Thank you for joining in. I'm seeing a lot of smiling faces. This is great. So let me tell you what I'm going to talk about today. Okay. As Patty said, I'm Ken Copel of Copel Communications, provide writing, marketing, and creative services. And a lot of times when I speak to groups, I talk about what I do often is big picture, strategic marketing stuff, taking a customer back approach. And if you don't know what that is, ask me during the Q&A. I'm religious about it. I will go off on, really big about it. But today, in the time allotted, I'm going to focus on a really narrow, simple, tactical issue: written content for marketing. That's it. Just a real narrow slice. I'm just going to talk about that. Okay. Um, because I want to talk about how to outsmart AI in the marketing content game, make it work for you, not the other way around. Okay. Because if you own a business, you have prospects. If you have prospects, you need to market to them. And if you're marketing, you can always raise your game. So we're going to talk about that today. Okay. But first, let me tell you a little story. And this is true. Okay. I'm not making this up. And this is a true story about my first encounter with AI, with artificial intelligence. Okay. And it dates way back when I was in college, back in 19, I had just declared as an English major. Okay. And it was the first day of my first upper division English literature class. And I was nervous. Okay. It's like, will I be able to hold my own against these smart upperclassmen? What will I do? And I walk in the room and it's an intimidating scene, right? I mean, these older kids, gosh, they're like 20. And the guys, are wearing like the tweed blazers with the patches at the elbow, and they got the goatees. And the gals are wearing the gauze skirts, and they're carrying their little coffee cups from the humanities building cafeteria. I mean, really intimidating crowd for a young guy like me. So it's the first day of class, and the professor gets in front of the class, and he says, "Welcome, class, to this literature course." And he said, the first day of class, what most professors do is they go through the syllabus, the course requirements, the reading list, the testing schedule, all of that kind of stuff. And he says, "I'm going to do that He says, but I'm going to do that on the second day of class. He says, first day of class, he said, what I prefer to do, I want to get to know you, my new students. He says, I'll do it on the second day. And with that, he passes out papers to everyone. Take one, pass it back, take one, pass it back. And we all get copies of a poem about 2 pages long. And the professor says, why don't you take a couple minutes, read this poem, and then we'll discuss it. And I'll get to know you, my new students. So sure enough, I read this poem. Takes me a couple minutes, about 2 pages long. It's about a ptarmigan. The ptarmigan does this, the ptarmigan does that, all about what the ptarmigan does. And after everyone's put their papers down, they've obviously finished it. Professor says, well, class, let's get your thoughts. I want to get to know you, my class. What what are your thoughts on this poem? And one guy raises his hand. The professor calls him, yes, Mr. Smith. And this guy says, well, to me, the ptarmigan represents a hemiplegic, indeed epiphenomenal deconstruction of the inherent antagonism between the pre-classical thesis and the postmodern antithesis. It's clearly didactic, albeit quixotic metaphor for the intersection of scientific determinism and dialectical materialism. Uh-oh. Now I'm getting scared. It's like, the heck am I doing here? All right. I feel like a complete idiot. How did I get into college? How did I graduate high school? Why am I even drawing oxygen? Okay. And the professor says, anyone else? And how about you, Miss Jones? Miss Jones, she puts her hand down. She goes, I think the ptarmigan epitomizes humanity's growing disillusionment and rejection of bourgeoisie values and the struggle to find meaning amid an increasingly commercialized society. It obviously prefigures an Orwellian dystopia. And I'm just like sinking in my chair. Okay. And one after another, each one is more brilliant than the other. They keep raising their hand. And this is a true story. I'm not making this. Okay. So it finally goes around the whole class. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, what am I doing here? There's no one left. I raise my hand. Professor calls on me. He says, yes, Mr. Copel. I said, hi. Um, I have a question. I said, I got to apologize. I don't have a dictionary with me today. What's a ptarmigan? And he laughed. He says, that's a very good question. He goes, why isn't somebody else here in the class? Tell Mr. Copel what a ptarmigan is. And at that moment, everyone looks down at their desk. Everyone stares at their navel. No one looked up. No one raised their hand. No one said a word. No one knew what a ptarmigan is. That, my friends, was my first encounter with artificial intelligence. I cracked myself up. All right, I'm going to circle back to that story in a minute. Let's talk about your marketing. Okay, so the new frontier here is generative, it's AI, artificial intelligence. Ooh, okay, and I want to preface what I'm saying by telling you that I am not a Luddite by any means. I am not afraid of technology. I don't shun technology. I love it. I embrace it. I use it whenever it can save me time, effort, cost, money, whatever. I'm there. Okay. And AI specifically, I use it all the time. For my blog posts, I generate images for them. Um, I'm working on a series of e-learning modules for one of my clients right now. They're kind of like little training videos, and we're using AI to create the voiceovers because they don't flub their lines like humans do, although they will mispronounce things. Okay. But here I'm talking not about images, not about voiceovers. I want to talk about content, written content, words. Okay. And I'm a writer. I mean, that's what's on my tax return each year, occupation writer. Um, so when ChatGPT and its ilk came out, everyone, oh, the Schadenfreude was dripping. People were coming up to me, Ken, you're going to be out of work. You're going to be out of business. Oh, ChatGPT is taking over the world. Are you threatened? My answer is no. I'm not threatened. I'm no more threatened by the advent of ChatGPT than I was threatened by the advent of the word processor. And yes, I am that old. It's a tool, and in the right hands, it can be good. In the wrong hands, it can be bad. Look at it this way, just because you have a paintbrush doesn't make you Leonardo da Vinci. So, and in terms of writing, what I found just very broadly is that ChatGPT and all what these large language models, if you're not a writer, they can make you look better because they don't flood the language. If you are a writer, they can invariably make you look worse. Okay, and Patty will know about this. I had one of my articles, somebody inadvertently put one of my articles through ChatGPT once, and the article was a marketing content, and it was about how to about creating content. And my counterintuitive tip in it was aim low. in terms of your cadence, which I think should strike all of you as very counterintuitive. People all your life have said, aim high, aim high. Yeah, but when it comes to generating your marketing and the cadence you want to do, aim low. And I had a cool way of kind of telling that story. Somebody took that article, put it through ChatGPT, and ChatGPT turned it into marketing is difficult and there are many steps. But if you follow the steps, you can succeed in marketing. What? Huh? Okay. So that's what ChatGPT can do to you. All right. So anyway, when ChatGPT first came out, and again, I just say ChatGPT is a blanket term, refers to other technologies as well. Um, it has the ability to crank out tons and tons of grammatically perfect content instantly. It can crank out tons and tons of There's a word for it. Wait a minute, it's escaping me. It can crank out tons and tons of um, crap. That's the word I'm looking for. Okay, it can generate tons and tons of crap instantly. It can just do it. Grammatically perfect crap. Okay. And so when it first came out, you might, if you don't know this, you'd say, oh, of course it makes sense. It was a real boon for spammers. Because right now you get spam, you get a text message, whatever it is, you can tell it's from, or it used to be, you could tell because the English was bad, right? I am from Amazon. I am from the IRS. I'm a Nigerian prince. And, yeah, you could just toss them instantly. Okay. But now they've got this tool and anybody can click the generate button and you get grammatically perfect spam. Okay. It lasted a very short time. The world catches up to this stuff. Okay. So the ISPs, the internet service providers, quickly clamped down, created spam filters, locked down so much stuff that clients of mine couldn't even send emails to their own clients. The spam filters got locked down so much. So you might have experienced this. Okay. And then Google, just so you know, is fighting back against this. And God bless them. Rare you'll hear me say God bless Google. Um, but they they do want to serve up through search to people like you and me good information, good actual content. I mean, if you've ever used Google to find something and you realize it's just a lot of crap that somebody copied and pasted from other stuff, you're pissed off. Okay, so Google is seeing that trend where people are trying to manipulate SEO with AI generated content. And I work with a lot of digital marketing firms. They basically create social ads and do SEO for my different clients. And I'm getting this reporting from the field. So Google is actively, they're doubling down on rewarding original high quality user first content. And they're refining their algorithms as we speak to filter out people who are trying to manipulate SEO, game the system effectively with AI generated content. Okay. So the big question is, how do you overcome this tsunami? How do you make AI work for you and not the other way around? Well, let's talk about that a little bit. AI is known as generative AI, right? Artificial intelligence. I like to call it regenerative AI because all it does is scour the internet and spit back versions of what already existed. It's that's its big parlor trick. Okay, there's a fable about I learned this when I was a kid about the five Chinese brothers, and each one had a special skill. One could hold his breath forever. One could swallow the entire ocean. Right. Well, ChatGPT's big parlor trick. It can memorize the internet. That's a heck of a trick. If I could do that, I'd get a tattoo. I mean, that's pretty amazing. All right, so it can do that, so it seems really impressive. But don't forget the A in AI, artificial intelligence. Okay, so it also is programmed. In case you don't know this, it's one of these things where you say, "Oh, yeah, of course." It's programmed by people to always give you an answer, even when it doesn't know one. The programmers of these AI models have figured, well, people are probably going to want an answer even when it doesn't have an answer. That's going to look better than it saying, I don't know. So it never says, I don't know. And here's a little trick you can do, which is kind of fun. Okay. You can make up any kind of, you can throw what's called a false premise search at it. Okay. So you can make up a proverb, make up anything and say, what is the meaning of this? And it will tell you. Okay. So you can say, what is the meaning of you can't lick a badger twice? And it'll tell you where it comes from. Okay, I've made these up and tried. It's really fun. If you could say, say, never throw a poodle at a pig, and it'll tell you that comes from the Bible. All right. It just makes stuff up. And it's not like, Microsoft Word where there's a squiggly underline where it says, I think this is incorrect. It says, no, this is what is. Okay. Here's one, if you might not know this, not too long ago, six engineers from Apple did a little experiment. If you don't know about this, you'll find this really interesting. They took standardized grade school math word problems and threw them at ChatGPT. Okay. So if Sophie gives 31 building blocks to her brother and blah, 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 what happens? They give these standardized questions to ChatGPT. What happens? ChatGPT gets it right. Of course. That's what you would expect. But then they just changed some of the language. Instead of Sophie giving 31 building blocks to her brother, they said, how about Theodore giving 19 building blocks to his second cousin? They feed it to ChatGPT, and guess what? It got it wrong. Think about that. Let that sink in for a second. Anybody in this room could, that wouldn't throw you. That wouldn't make you just like short circuit, blow a head gasket. I said, yeah, Christ, I just have to basic math. It couldn't do it. Why? Because it's memorized the internet, and that specific question isn't on the internet. So it just made stuff up. And so the accuracy plummeted, the variance skyrocketed. Okay, this is really good to know. The knowledge is power. The more you know this and how it works, you can see its weaknesses and you can make the system work for you better. Okay. And by the way, I was on a related note, I was speaking to a marketing colleague not too long ago, and I showed him one of the images that I created. I wonder if I could do a quick share here. I don't know if it'll let me do it. This is sharing is not turned on. I'm going to send the request. Riz, if you're listening, can you let me know? Oh, looks like I can share. Thanks. So I had done an image for one of my blog posts. And in fact, this just posted last week. And it was about outsmarting AI pretty simply. And I said, oh, I want to show a person kind of winning the game over, over the artificial intelligence. And so I did an image that looked kind of like this. Okay. That's kind of cute, right? All right. So if you're seeing that. All right. So anyway, so I was talking to this marketing expert and he said, wow, Ken, you give good prompt. I'd never gotten that compliment before. And he said, I'll bet that you could crack this kind of sporting challenge that's going around the internet with AI prompts. I said, what's that? And he said, he said, can you write a prompt? It seems really simple on the surface to have AI generate an image of a glass of wine that's full to the top, almost overflowing. He said, no one can figure out the prompt to do that. Now, based on what I just told you all about the building blocks and the math problems, can you figure out where this is going? Okay. The answer is I knew the answer immediately. It's like, I can't write that prompt. I'm a great prompt writer. That prompt doesn't exist because if it's memorizing the internet, all it's doing is it's looking for an image of a glass of wine that's filled so full, it's about to spill. How many photos like that exist on the internet right now? None, zero, zilch, cinnamon donut. Okay. So you can write all the prompts you want. You will never get it to generate that image. You can't do it. Blows it out of the water. Okay. And so again, if you thought it was if you thought this technology was intimidating, please don't be intimidated by it. I don't know if you've heard of a gentleman named Jan LeCun. He's known as one of the two godfathers of AI. And he was recently asked, like, when should we fear AI taking over the world? And he said, well, once it becomes more intelligent than a house cat. Okay. So anyway, crisis equals opportunity. How do you outsmart AI and win new business? Okay. And to put it in the words of a Corn Ferry consultant I was speaking with not too long ago, I love this. He was talking about sales, but this kind of overlaps. And he said, if you want to sell, like in the enterprise world, the business world, he said, you need to be smarter than Google. If you're a salesman, you need to be smarter than Google. I love that phrase. I think that's pretty cool. It stuck with me. Okay. Because if you're selling to someone and they've done, you know that they've done some Googling first to find out, just to get the lay of the land, and you tell them the stuff that they already know, what value are you bringing? How are you unique? How are you standing out? They're going to show you the door. All right. ChatGPT and AI are the new forms of Google. They've become easy. All right. But AI is not invincible. Okay. It has an Achilles heel. And if you haven't figured it out already, here's what it is. It's lagging. It's not leading. It memorizes the internet. The internet exists in the past. What does every human being in this room have the capability to do? We can look into the future. I can think about what I'm doing tomorrow. I know what I'm going to do this afternoon. ChatGPT has no idea. Okay. I know what my clients are going to do. I can see the trends among them. It can't. It can only look backwards. That's an existential edge that all of us have over this technology that can swallow the ocean, memorize the internet. Okay. So among my clients, my best clients have always been content factories, okay? And sharing what they know with the world for free, okay? Now, I've always agreed with this. I think it's a best practice. I do it myself. You read any of my blogs, I'm giving away my best secrets that I spent 3 decades figuring out. I don't care. I want to do it. Why would you demonstrate your thought leadership? Okay. Well, it separates you from everyone else. It makes you the go-to trusted resource, and it burnishes your reputation for expertise. So I would argue that in the face of technologies like ChatGPT, it's no longer an option to be a thought leader. I would say it's the new marketing strategic imperative. You've got to put yourself out there and do this. And now, crisis equals opportunity. The opportunity is really big. If ChatGPT can't see what you can see in the future, you can outsmart it any day of the week. Okay. I was talking to a sales consultant, executive leader guy recently, and he told me he was working with his clients and he saw a trend. He said he coaches company sales teams, and he said he's seeing salespeople leaving the business and taking knowledge with them. It's like, okay, yeah, I've heard of that trend before, like the graying of the workforce or whatever. He said, but he's seeing it before his clients are seeing it. He's seeing their sales teams leave before the bosses are recognizing what's happening, that they're getting sucked out. And I said, that's a trend. Write an article about that, create some content about that. You are ahead of the game. Okay. Among some of my clients, I'm very fortunate. I got some really brilliant clients. I'm really happy. Um, I was creating some content for a client of mine that was doing, I was writing a video about RPA, robotic process automation. And this was for wholesale distributors. Okay. And my client was a consultancy, had figured out that if a salesperson is on the phone with a potential client and they're quoting a price on a product from this wholesale distributor and they're about to quote the wrong price, this thing lights up and says, no, don't quote that price, quote this price. We're looking at the historical trends, ding, 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 and does all this stuff in real time. They figured out how to do this using a lot of technology. That's really cool. My job is to kind of not dumb it down, but executivify it to a more purchasing audience and tell that to the world. And again, these people just invented that technology. ChatGPT knows nothing about it. Okay. And so if we push out content that talks about things that you see, that you know, that you see are coming down the line, you are ahead. And guess what? Google will reward you. It'll send clients your way. Okay. Because they're trying to filter out all the crap. So how do you do it? Okay. Well, what you want to do is you want to capitalize on AI's absolute inability to look forward, draw from the front lines of your own practice and those of your clients. What happened today? You know it. AI has no clue. Okay. And then you need to create a pipeline of material to push out for your thought and leadership. Okay. And I would say draw from your best real world experiences and those of your clients. And here's a trick. This one I figured out on my own, I don't know, a year or two ago, and I love it. I think it's the coolest thing. It's like, wow, what can I write about? What can I tell a story about? Where can I draw inspiration? How can I remember? You know what you do? Pull your invoices. Look at your recent invoices. Every invoice, there's a story in there of something that you solved, problem that you solved for a client, product or service that you delivered. It's like, oh yeah, I remember that project. Oh, that's a story. I can talk about that. ChatGPT doesn't have any access to your invoices. Okay. So you can do all this stuff. And then what you want to do is uh, you want to create a what's called an editorial content calendar. Okay. In which you map out when these are going to appear, what you're going to do with these different stories. And then I would say start with your most difficult and labor intensive modality. So if you're going to be hosting a webinar, for example, that's hard. You got to put together a whole slide deck or whatever. Do that first. Or you're going to be making a video, do that first. And then kind of like an NFL quarterback, you go through your progressions in terms of getting to the easier and easier stuff. So if you're starting with a webinar, then your video, then you might do a blog article, a case study, email outreach, social posts. Okay, yes, the email outreach actually is working. The ISPs are starting to dial it back down again. And can AI help? Okay, and yeah, it can spell check. It can polish your stuff. You come up with the ideas. Let it fix your grammar. Fine. God bless you. Okay. So last things here. How could I help? Okay, people in this room. Okay, for Power Hour attendees and their clients who are thought leaders. Well, I can help you tease out ideas for topics. I can help you build out that editorial content calendar and chosen publication cadence. Stuff I'm good at, conducting subject matter expert interviews. I love talking to nerds and knob turners, do it all the time. And I translate a lot of that technical stuff for a executive level purchasing audience. That's kind of a skill of mine. Okay. And then of course, as I mentioned, I'm a writer. So, you need stuff written and, actually with good content, I can, write articles, blogs, video scripts, webinar decks, emails, social posts, you name it. Um, and then, and I would say this is a great toe in the water opportunity for you or your clients, to work with me. So that's pretty much what I wanted to talk about today. I will button it with one last thing in case any of you were curious. A ptarmigan is a bird. Thanks for your time. I'd like to open up the room for any questions you might have. Thanks.
That is great. Thank you. Thank you very much, Kim. So the deal is that we can use it for ideas or whatever, but we're going to get the past. And you're saying that discerning buyers and our readers deserve the real us. That's what you're saying?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Mhm. Well, I would love people to ask questions. Let's see, Cindy, you always have good questions, and I know you are doing marketing. Why don't you kick this off, and then maybe Chantel has some questions. I think you're building a really strong real estate group, so we'll go with Cindy, then Chantel, and then we'll see who else has questions. By the way, we're not going to do a breakout, so it's just going to be open questions for the whole group.
Love it.
Well,
Who's going first? Cindy, hi.
presentation was wonderful. It really helped solidify a lot of my thoughts or suspicions about AI and what it is. I loved your way of saying that basically ChatGPT has memorized the internet. Yes, that's what
That's
I've
what done.
always thought.
Yeah.
So, in reference to your capabilities or services, I think the biggest obstacle I have in knowing social media is where it's at. And I'm just overwhelmed at the thought of how we all, in a way, have to get our message out there. And the platform is pretty much social media. But
Mhm.
then I'm brain frozen on doing that content every day. Do you have any strategies or tips on how a person might be able to open up their mind to think of, say, five, topics in every week or something? I don't know. That's my biggest stifling point. Because what I do, as you see by my name, is etiquette training. And etiquette is so vast. I mean, it's not as narrow as many other topics. Do you get what I'm
Oh,
trying to ask?
yeah, that's a great question. I love
Okay.
it. Thanks, Cindy.
Okay.
Excuse me. Yeah, I've got a lot of answers for you. Um, First of all, if you've got a big topic that you know a lot about, okay, and I think that might apply to everyone in this room, whatever you're doing is your business, is carve it up into little nuggets. When you're talking about social is little nuggets. I went way back in the day when I was in New York and I was at the ad agency. I did print, radio, television, and outdoor. Outdoor means freeway billboards. Okay. And freeway billboards, somebody's driving past, 60 miles an hour. What do you get? 5 words. Okay. And little tiny social posts are the exact same thing as freeway billboards. Somebody's scrolling by, you got to get them really quick. So the good news is if you got a million things to say, you can carve that into a million little nuggets. Okay. So right there, your writer's block goes away. You can tell where's the salad fork go? I can do a whole thing on the salad fork. Okay. I can do a whole thing about, oh, what happens if I have an upset stomach and I need to leave the table? I don't know. I'm making stuff up. I don't know. You're the etiquette queen. But you can carve it up into a lot of things. Okay. So right there, that takes away your stress. And you can look into big pictures like business settings,
Yes.
social settings, breakfast,
Yeah.
lunch, dinner, right?
Yeah.
Parties, whatever your categories are. And each one of those,
Yeah.
if you can talk for 10 to 15 minutes on each of those, that's 100 topics. Okay. So that's one part. So don't worry about the writer's block. You've got so much content. And again, if you want, we can chat and I can help you with that stuff. But you have it in your head. That's not a problem. The other thing is, I don't buy the assumption of your cadence. See, I need to do this every day. I don't think you need to do this every day. And this is where it gets to the aim low thing. Okay. Aim low is what's right for you that you could do. What's the cadence that you're comfortable with? Okay. And I would argue, figure that out. What do you feel comfortable with? And then cut it in half. Cut it in half. That's where you aim low, because I liken it to a workout routine. You see all these people on January 1st, I signed up for the gym and they're posting, I did this, I ran 100 laps, I've lifted and sweated and da, da, da. And what happens in February? You don't hear from them. Okay. So social posting and marketing and advertising, you're in for the long haul. It's like, what can you do? Like for me, I'll use myself as an example. I could write a blog article every week. I really could. Okay. I don't do it every other week. I post twice a month. Okay. Because twice a month, oh, yeah, I can do that. Write 2 articles in a month. Of course I can. Okay. And you want to get to that level and say, oh, yeah, it's no brainer. You don't want the stress, because that means you will stick to it. That's one half of it. The other half is who you're reaching out to and what is their appetite for consumption. Okay. Give you a really dumbed down example. If your audience was kindergarten children, how often would you have to post? Probably about every 5 minutes, right? Because they have the attention span of a goldfish. Okay. But you're not writing for them. Okay. What if you're writing for a CEO? Okay. Are they looking at stuff every single day? No, they just, this is where executive summary comes from. So it's a much longer cadence. Okay. So you want to figure out who you're reaching out to and what their preferred cadence is. So I'm going to guess that, first of all, you're cranking out more content than you need to and stressing yourself out more than you have to. Okay. Put yourself in their shoes. What would they most like? Okay. And then draw the little Venn diagram where the circles overlap of what's your half level of effort that you can maintain for the long haul and what they want. And that's where that's where the truth lies. So does that help you, Cindy?
Yes, it does. Although, what would you say a cadence is for the Gen Zers up to the millennials? So it is the younger demographic.
I'd have to talk to you more about them and carve it up as to who within them you're reaching and what their day is like. They vary. Okay. Just say, like, I'm a baby boomer. Like, we're not all the same. Okay. So, and this is something I love doing. It's something I specialize in, is doing that customer back discovery, figuring out who the customers are. There are slices of these Gen Z people that you want to reach, not all of them. Who are the ones who are the buyers? Who are the ones who really want to hire you? And let's figure out their day in the life and what their needs are. And then from that, we can extrapolate what their cadence would be and what troughs they're feeding from in terms of their content consumption. Does that help you?
Yes.
I hope I'm not too
Thank you.
evasive, but there is a method to
No.
the madness.
Thank you.
Sir?
How about you, Irina? I know you have a very exclusive clientele there in the Santa Barbara area. I was just using some of your products today. Doesn't my skin look better?
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, I do have a wellness spa in Montecito in California.
Ooh.
And I was just talking to my lady who carves out the newsletters, spa newsletters that we send weekly to our clients. And we check the back side of the interest of the clients, like by clicking, see how many people click on the hyperlinks that we offer through the newsletters, buying products that we recommend, and it's very low. So I was shocked that out of about 275 newsletters that we send, 100 open and only about 10% clicks on the hyperlinks that we recommend. So it's we're not doing so well.
What are you getting? 10% clicks?
Yeah, 10%.
That's actually that's excellent.
Is it good?
Oh yeah, you might not realize that. Yeah, let me disabuse you.
Okay.
You may have heard of what you're doing there is direct response marketing. You do have a captive audience because these are previous customers. Is that correct?
Correct. Correct.
Okay, that's good. You might have heard of what's called the three-legged stool of direct response. Okay, for emails like this. The response you get is based on the quality of three different factors. One is the quality of the list. If these people are all dead or their email addresses have changed or whatever it is, that's bad quality. So the quality, you have to have that. Okay. Without that, everything else falls apart. The second leg is the quality of the offer. Okay. You're saying, I'm going to offer you this bar of soap and it's only $16,000. That's a pretty lousy offer. I like dealing in extreme examples in case you couldn't tell. Makes it easy. But that would be a terrible offer. And even if you had the best list in the world of great valid email addresses of people with money in their pockets, they're going to say, that's a crappy offer. No. Okay. The third leg of the stool is the actual email itself. Does it read well? Is it crafted well? Does it look pretty? Is it inviting? Does it display your brand? Is it short and sweet and to the point and not a novel that somebody has to scroll through? Does it display properly on desktop, laptop, mobile phone, tablet, blah, 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 all of that kind of stuff. And the more you can stabilize those three legs of the stool, the better your response will be. Direct response to just blind, lists that you rent, a good response is 1%, 1 to 2%. Yeah. So if you're getting 10%, that's good. Of course, these are previous customers. So you would want, if it was 1 to 2%, I would say that's kind of low for that audience. 10% is, I think, is spot on. That's good. But now that you know those three different factors, you can look at them, look at your list, go through. It's like, oh, they're dead. Is there any dead wood in this list? How can I expand this list? Because that's a numbers game.
Yeah. So may I ask you, would we have to send an individual, let's say, like a question email, direct email, asking the client if this is a correct email, and like double check if they want to continue to receive our newsletters, or how would I refine this audience? What would be the best approach to make them active, to make them from deadbeats to more active? You know what I mean?
Yeah, sure. Well, first of all, I'm going to assume that you're abiding by what's called the Can Spam Act. It was a legislation passed by Congress, I don't know, 10, 20 years ago, where you have to have an unsubscribe button link at the bottom of your email.
We do have
you have that.
Yeah. We have
and a physical address, constant contact.
Yeah, we use Constant Contact. It's a paid marketing.
Of course.
Yeah, it's upgraded level.
Yeah, if you have the safe unsubscribe button, you're compliant, and you don't really have to do too much more, because they will subscribe out. You can check on Constant Contact. You can see how many people opted out on any given week or month.
Hardly anybody opts out. I mean,
that's a good sign.
Once they receive it, once they're in my domain, so to speak, I get maybe 1 or 2 unsubscribe people a month.
Okay. No, that's great. They would opt out. By the way, for the first time I'm seeing the chat here on Zoom. Let me see. Is there anything here I missed? Oh, I got some thank yous. Oh, that's nice. Okay, cool. All right, I can't multitask like that. Just personal note, I will never talk on the phone while I'm driving. I guarantee you I would crash into a pole like that. So I can't read the chat on Zoom and answer your questions. So, all right. But anyway, so they would opt out. Yeah, look at the three-legged stool. And as I said at the beginning of my talk, is I take a customer back approach to everything I do. Okay. And what does that mean? It's worth spending minutes to just discuss it. It's understanding who your customer is, your prospect. Okay. And what their day in the life is, what they need, what they want, what do they want to have done for them yesterday? What are they really? And the more you can understand that and climb into their head, you can creatively infer solutions that they can't come up with themselves. Okay. Steve Jobs was famous about talking about this. He said, it's not the customer's job to know what they want. He said, before we introduced the Macintosh, people would say they wanted a better calculator. Okay. So you can creatively infer what they want and come up with offers. You ever hear the phrase surprise and delight? When it's surprise, where they go, oh yeah. Or sometimes you get a new phone, it's like, does that feature? That's thoughtful. That was pretty clever. I like that. Somebody creatively thought of that. It wasn't just from a focus group saying, what do you want? You got to know who they are, figure that out, and then creatively infer that. And then from a marketing standpoint, I mean, if I know a lot about your customer, if I really know them well, I know what fonts they're going to respond to. I know what color palette they're going to like, how much white space in a video, what kind of background music, what kind of stock photography and video images. Okay. And also from a product and service development standpoint, what kind of offers? What would they respond to? They go, oh, well, yeah, I'll buy one of those. I'll upgrade to that. There's a little upsell. And what is that little nudge? And it's, and it's you kind of, you can't ask, you can try and ask ChatGPT because some of these wheels have been invented before. Okay. I had a client recently who was going to a trade show and we wanted to collect a lot of business cards, right? That's a classic thing. And I said, yeah, maybe we could do a spin the wheel giveaway or something like that. And I asked ChatGPT. This is a problem that millions of people have pondered and searched before, and it's on the internet, and it spat out 20 different things. And when my client and I looked at it and said, hey, 3 of those are good. And we ran with it. So that's a good usage of it. Okay. One was a spin the wheel, one was this type of a game or a contest or whatever. So you could do stuff like that. But again, understanding them, and they're not homogenous, right? If you got a spa, there's going to be your primary, who are the ones who are just the lowest hanging fruit, where they love coming, they're deep pockets, they're addicted to what you offer, they come back all the time, and you want to make them as happy as possible. And how much nudging do they need to purchase a little more? That's the primary. Who's the secondary, right? And then just as important, who are the ones you don't want? If you're doing cold emailing, or if you're doing paying for boosting on social ads, you don't want the tire kickers, you don't want the cheapskates, right? And there's ways to filter them out. The analogy I use is you create your marketing image. Let's say for what you're making, imagine it's a Lexus dealership. And you build a Lexus dealership. What happens when the Toyota customer walks in the front door? They go, hi, I'd like to buy a, oh, I'm sorry, I'm in the wrong place. And they walk out very politely. You can do that.
Yeah.
Okay, without being snobby or anything like that. And you have these people self-select out. So you can do that too. So there's a lot of ways to do it, but the backbone of all of it, the one common theme is doing that customer discovery, knowing who those customers are. A lot of times I work with new clients and I'll have 3 people in the room and say, who's your primary customer? And I get 3 different answers. Happens more often than not, and it's fine. That's why it keeps me employed. So that's where that comes from. Understand that, do the effort to carve that out. Whatever you're doing now, it sounds like it's good. It's like playing an instrument or playing a sport. You can always get better. Always get better. That's what's kind of fun
We want to get better.
Always want to get better.
We need to get better.
Yeah, I'm big on continual improvement.
Yes.
Great questions, Irina.
Thank you for your wisdom. Yeah.
I don't know if I'd go that far.
Well, it was good. Instrumental for me. We'll definitely start refining this.
Okay,
technique.
Great. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody, I remind you that Ken Copel is on LinkedIn, and Ken has a website called copelcommunications.com, which you can find out more information. But if you go to his LinkedIn page, you will also see that Ken has a beautiful portfolio there, and I'm sure something is going to resonate with you. Ken, you generously offered to do a free marketing consult to a couple of lucky winners afterwards. Would you explain a little bit about what that is, what you're going to do, what they would get? And then I think we should just have people, if they want to enter, they could put something in the comments, or they can send us a private message.
Exactly. Yeah. If you're interested in entering this raffle, just put it in the chat. I think Riza will capture it, or say, yeah, I'm interested, or send a note. And what it would involve is, I think you got a taste of it right here, is since it's an initial consult, it would be, I would be doing customer discovery. Okay. I had a prospect recently who you'll know about this gentleman. I won't mention him by name, but you'll know who I'm talking about, who had this very, very complex, multi-layered audience, and we had to tease it out. And I started doing the discovery work with this gentleman, and he got impatient. He said, "Oh, just make some ads. Just make some ads for me. I just got to run ads." And I walked away. I said, "I can't do it. Sorry." So anyway, what the initial is just talking about. If Irina, if it was you, I'd say, tell me about your spa. Tell me about your customers. Could we fill an hour with that? Holy mackerel. The hour will go by like that. Okay. And there's insights come out of that. And it's almost like therapy. When you talk it out, there's things you want to do. I was working with a client not too long ago, and she wanted, Patty, you'll know this story. I think I told it to you. This woman who's running a business, and she wanted to recruit like kind of technical salespeople. If you're familiar with EOS, the Entrepreneurial Operating System, Gino Wickman's thing. There's these EOS implementers, and she wanted to get them. She wanted to get people to buy into her system and resell it. You know, systems she wanted to buy and resell. And she was obsessed about these EOS implementers. I said, well, a lot of these EOS implementers, they're busy implementing EOS. Who do you get? And the more she described what she wanted, and we did this customer discovery, it kind of became clear. I said, well, how about former military? Sounds like that's what you're describing. People who are out of the military, who trust, love a system, are used to working in a system, respect the great system, have no time of day for a bad system, are willing to put their life on the line for a good system, okay, and are used to signing up for something that they believe in. And I had her on a Zoom call. She went, it was a huge moment of discovery. Guess what? The whole business pivoted, and there was a customer segment that she didn't even know existed before that call. Okay, absolutely. And then what's the messaging to former military? Well, how long have they been out? What services were they in? And then the questions drive more questions, but you start to narrow it down, and it becomes fun, kind of like a mystery, solving a mystery, playing a game. It's a sporting challenge. I love it. It's a lot of fun. And after all these decades of doing it, I've got some experience with it. So that's what that would be. If you're interested in signing up and entering the raffle, that's primarily what it would consist of. Patty, does that answer your question?
It sure does. It sure does. And Ken, you might have some closing comments before we wrap up. I promise a speed networking. So if you guys are still on, I'd really love you to do a quick introduction of yourself. I did write some specs in there for everybody. So a couple things. We're going to ask Ken to make some closing comments, but after your speed networking. So on speed networking, what I would like you to do is if you have an elevator speech, so it's a minute or less, you can use that. State your name, your business, and how you help people, and what help, if any, you need. And then make a note, and then I can put you guys in touch with each other if you don't know each other from one of my other mastermind groups or anything. You can always write to us afterwards about a consult with Ken or whatever. So speed networking. Cindy, since you were brave to go with a question first, we'll go first you, then Irina, then Davud, then Chantel, then Jesse. I'm glad you're here. Somebody's on with their MacBook Pro. I don't know who that is. They just signed up MacBook Pro, no name.
It's
So
Steve Jobs.
you're here. We'd love you to do speed networking. Who you are, how you solve problems, what help you need. All right. Ready? Cindy, are you ready?
I guess.
Okay.
I haven't practiced my elevators pitch since your seminar. My name is Cindy Seed, and I'm the founder of Advanced Etiquette, where we help business professionals master the know-how, confidence, and success in international business protocol and social etiquette. And basically, we provide seminars, workshops, presentations, anything you want, either virtual or in person. And what I need most right now, I'm about to launch a social media campaign, so to speak, thanks to Riz's editorial calendar she's put together. So followers, I'll take the followers most immediately. Thank you.
Okay, Irina.
My name is Irina, and I'm owner of Soma Skin Spa. Soma Skin Spa is a wellness center. We provide 3 types of services to our clients: holistic skincare, rejuvenating and relaxing massages, and Ayurveda-based nutrition counseling. So this is what we do to enhance people's well-being. That's all I got.
Two things you do great for clients, and do you need help with anything or no?
Do I need help? Well, how did it sound? I mean, I never talk I mean, I don't know how I sound. I need feedback. Is there anything else that could be said about what I do?
All right, well, I'm gonna keep your fingers, my fingers crossed that you win the raffle. And
Yes.
like, go next. What about you, Sean? You want to do quick speed networking? Turn on your camera and tell us what you do for people. Can they buy from you even if they're not in Long Beach? Oh, hi, Esme. Oh, there's Jesse. Hi. Why don't you go? I don't see Sean speaking. Oh, there he goes.
I'm here. Sorry, I don't know why my video is not showing or if it is. But my name is Sean Blake. I own a company called DN Signs, and we help our clients do more business with great signage strategies, interior and exterior signage. Really enjoyed the presentation today, uh, and the targeted marketing approach to communication. So really enjoyed that. In terms of how we can help people, more than happy to give anybody with any upcoming signage needs consultation, whether or not we're the provider. More than happy to share my over 20 years of experience in this space. And in terms of what we need, I need to write more newsletters. So and communicate our value to our existing clients through those newsletters. And so thank you for that kick in the pants today.
You're welcome. Thanks for joining, Sean. Appreciate it.
You, Jesse Lee, how about you?
Forgive me, Patty, would you be willing to take down your slide? Because otherwise people's faces are too small for the speaker. Great. I can
Thank you,
see
Cindy, and thank you,
everybody.
Riza. Yeah.
Yeah.
How's that, Jesse? Can you do a speed networking? Introduce yourself, please.
Sure. Thank you, Patty, for giving me the opportunity to introduce myself. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. I'm a business strategist and implementer, helping companies to overcome barriers and achieve high impact growth internationally. Thank you.
And you are an engineer by training, and you are located where? And your expertise is special in where?
Okay. I'm educated as a mechanical engineer. I'm located in Santa Barbara for more than 20 years. And I'm specialized, focused in US and the Asia Pacific market for high potential projects. And recently there are exciting things happening between US and the Asia Pacific in spite of the trade war. There's many things happen. So if people are interested, I can share more. Thank you.
Great. All right, well, that might be all of our volunteers or draftees. So Ken, I think it would be great for you to wrap up. Any words of wisdom you have about how we can best leverage AI, how we can make it work for us, and how we can help spot it and become more discerning buyers of products and services also.
Yeah, I would say just trust yourself. Really look to yourself and do what you need to do. I can tell you a real quick anecdote here. And Patty, this will resonate with you because we had a conversation recently that kind of paralleled this. I was working with a client recently. They were trying to come up with a tagline for what they do, and they help businesses do XYZ. They help them solve this one thing. And so I was on a Zoom like this, and the client said, "Well, we turbocharge their ability to do this." Okay, I wasn't too thrilled. And he said, "Let's go on ChatGPT and look that up." So I told ChatGPT, "We turbocharge people's ability to blah, 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 blah. Give me other variations." And it spits out tons and tons of stuff. Amplifies, hypercharged, amplified, blah, 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 supercharged, all of these things. None of them were any good. Okay. It was really easy to click that and say, give me a bunch of names. And it does. But there's a computer acronym called GIGO, garbage in, garbage out. And this was garbage in. And so I said, can we try another approach? Let's take a customer back approach, right? Let's just take several minutes and discuss this. Who are we trying to reach? What do we do that's different? And it's sort of like, well, we actually have a scientifically validated method for helping people achieve XYZ. And there's kind of an art to it too. And when isn't that? So we came up with like helping you master, helping you master the art and science of XYZ. So good. That was it. It's really good. And it's got a cadence, the art and the science. Okay. ChatGPT couldn't do that. It's like, well, now we got something good. Let's put that into ChatGPT. And it couldn't come up with anything better. Even my client said, yeah, this is all crap. So it took hard work. So you got to look in yourself, and it's very easy to click stuff, but it's garbage in, garbage out. So you have more knowledge than all of the artificial intelligence out there. I would just say that. Trust yourself. It's not, if it was easy, everybody would do it. So that would be my kind of closing thoughts.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Ken. I really appreciate you, and congratulations to those of you who are going to be winning your free consultation. I think we've covered all the questions. I want to remind you that next month on June 26th, we will have Ann Doyle, who is a leader in business. She worked for the Ford Motor Company. She was also one of the early journalists. She made journalistic history, and she also wrote a book called Powering Up: How America's Women Lead, how America's women achievers lead nowadays. And I think we might have even talked her into doing an updated version of the book. So I really look forward to seeing you again and our one-on-one calls. Some of you I'm going to see today, tomorrow, later this week. And I thank you again for being here with us today. And remember, this is your power hour, and you have what it takes. As Ken said, trust yourself and use your head. All right. Take care, everybody.
Thanks,
Bye.
everyone.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you so
Okay.
much
Thank you.
for
Thank you.
encouragements.